volunteers to execute projects in Lagos State. So it comes as no surprise that the application portal is in many ways connected to LSVC. So if you're familiar with this, I'm sure that you must have seen all of this, but if you scroll down here, this is where we have the banner for the 2022 SDG call for proposals. So to get started, you have to have an LSVC account, and there are two different ways that you can create an LSVC account. You can either be an individual. Okay, I'm just going to log out here. You can either be an individual or you can be an organization. But the most important thing is that you create your account with LSVC, and then when you're done creating your account with LSVC, let me just click on this. Okay, so it leads you here. If you don't have an account with LSVC, you have a link here that you can just use to create an account. So I'm just going to click on this so I can just demo that to you. Okay, so you can create an account as an individual or as an organization. The difference between both of them is like the lady that asked about if she could apply for the grant with her school. You can sign up for this because you already have an organization. But if you don't have an organization, you can sign up as an individual as well. There are a couple of things that you will need, like your official phone number, the contact person, your local government area, and then you create your password. You can also add your account number when you eventually sign in here. Okay. Then when you're done with your sign up, you verify it. I don't want to demo all of that because it's going to require me creating a new account, and I have 1 million accounts with LSVC already. So once you are done signing up, you're going to get a banner that you can just click on. It looks exactly like this when you log into your dashboard. That's as soon as you complete your sign up process, you receive our verification email. You click on the banner, and then you click on the email. You verify your email, and then you can go to your dashboard. You see this banner, you click on apply, and then that just leads you here. So to log in, you're going to need your email and your password. Just give me a minute, please. Because we've already logged out of the other one. So I just need to, I'm going to use this one to do it. Right, when you log into your account, this is what it looks like. You can see your grants, your applications, your workshop, and your profile. We also have a banner here as well that you can just click on. When you click on this, it takes you to your LSVC account. You can log in, and then you can go to your LSVC dashboard, and then from there you can find other projects if you want to volunteer. So that's one thing that I also want to mention here. It's that we need to not only look at this as an opportunity for you to find grants that you can apply to, but also look at it as an opportunity for you to collaborate with the projects that would be selected. That's if I obviously cannot guarantee that everyone's project here would be selected if everyone submits. Some people here might be rejected. Some people might be selected. But when you sign up on LSVC, eventually these projects that are selected are going to be uploaded to the LSVC portal, because we're going to need volunteers, lots of volunteers to execute all the projects that will be selected. So even though that happens, God forbid, you can still come to the LSVC portal and find other projects that you can volunteer to. I think that also categorizes as contributing to impact in many ways. Okay. So we have the grants, applications, workshop, and profile. So I'm just going to click on this. They all have different functionalities. The grants is where you can find all the grants that you can apply to. This is our first run, so we don't know yet if we will be renewed for a second if we'll be going again another year, like the SA said at a press conference. It depends on how we perform this year, and then we'll see if that happens. But if that happens, yes, you can always come here to grants, and you'll find other grants to apply to, but for now we only have the Impact Challenge live. In your application section, you can find applications that you have, you can find updates on your grants. So we have a community where all our applicants are in, people who need help completing their application.
Can anybody hear
Oh,
me?
I don't know if I have completed my grant. I don't know if I've completed my application. I did not receive an email. So you will definitely, major question, receive an email once you have completed your application. But error happens, you might miss it. It might go to your spam. But if that happens, you can always come down here to your applications and to your application at any time. We have three major status for now. We have incomplete, no, two major status for now. We have incomplete and in review. If your grant is in review in this section, that's the status, then you know that you have completed the process and your grant is in review, and we'll get back to you once the PSP, we call the PSP, the Project Selection Panel. They'll be the ones that will be reviewing be updated. But for now, you have two major status, that is incomplete and in review. Then in your workshop section, when you click on this, you can find an explainer video or walkthrough video that from the start of the of creating an account on LSBC. So that's another thing. You can from here you can just use this video as a guide, if in case you get confused at any point, or maybe you miss anything that I'm saying along the way. So you can always come back here. You can watch this video, and that will guide you on your throughout your application process. Right. In this place, I don't know if you can see where my mouse is. We have download application form. You can always click on this to download the application form. Now we have the questions are quite a bit of questions. So I know that some people might want to download it and then maybe run through it with your team and get your answers together and all of that before you now come online and maybe do it here. That depends on how you want to do it. You don't necessarily have to do it like that, but just in case you want to do it like that or for other purposes, we just have the download application form here. So you can always come here, you click on this. What happens is that downloads the application form, and you can always come back to take that. If you can see here, I just downloaded the application form. Then we also have a budget worksheet. So I'm just going to move from here to here. Oh, before I talk about the budget worksheet, your profile. You cannot update your profile here. You cannot update your profile here. So if you want to update your profile, you have to go to LSVC. We have already provided a link for that. So you just click on lsvc.ng, you look to your account, and then there you can update your profile. Whatever up that you make in LSVC in your profile section is also applicable to your profile that you use to apply for the grant. Right, so let's come here. This is our grant. You can see our description, our deadline, and our application limit. We have a list of requirements. And what we've done here is that we've provided you with a link to get your LASRA ID. Just like Fola mentioned earlier, it is important that you get your LASRA ID. Now, it's not needed during your application process when you're filling the form. You don't need it at that time. But where you're definitely going to need your LASRA ID is if you are selected by the PSB, we're going to have a series of interviews with the successful applicants so that they can be shortlisted, and then the winners would be selected from that group. And you don't want to get to that stage, and what is holding you back is you don't have your LASRA ID. So what I would suggest to you is that while you do not need this to start your application, we're not asking you to put your LASRA ID anywhere. You can just click on this and get started. If you don't have one, get started on your LASRA identification and get that now. Um, Right. So when you click on one more thing before I move on, we have some questions in this grant that will ask you, do you have your LASRA ID or does your head of organization have LASRA ID? You want to respond yes to that question because, like I already mentioned, just ensure that if you don't have one, that you come here and you begin your registration process immediately before the PSP is done. You're going to get a number that you can immediately, actually, you're going to get an identification temporarily. Okay, so when you click on this button, this is apply for grant. You're going to see a list of requirements. Now, we put this together because we noticed that one of the questions that we were getting is, what are the requirements? What are the requirements? So it seemed like the explainer was not enough. So we had to put this little model together so that as soon as you click on apply for grant, you can see what your requirements are. The first thing is the LASRA ID. I've already explained why you're going to get that. The second thing is your certificate of incorporation. Now, we're going to look at this two different types of people, of users. We have the individuals and then we have the organizations. Organizations should definitely have certificates of incorporations. I would encourage that because when the PSB is looking at all of the documentation, they'll see that, okay, this person is applying for this grant as an organization. So naturally, you would want to have your CAC to support that. But if you do not, then it would be best for you to sign up as an individual and apply as one, because the way individuals would be reviewed is very different from the way organizations will be reviewed. So just keep that in mind, please. And again, you can do that on LSBC. That is where you create your account. Now, the second one is budget worksheet. The budget worksheet just runs through all the items that you will be needing, all the what are the resources that you need, what's the cost, and that's where you just do your as they used to say back then in school, you show your workings. So you show your workings in your budget worksheet. This is also very important because this is something that the PSB would be looking at to determine the feasibility of your project. So what we have done is we have prepared a template for you to follow. So in case you don't have any, we already have a template for that, and you can download it here. This is it. It's the button download worksheet here. And if you come to your workshop, you can see it here as well, download budget worksheet. So we're with you every step of the way, you can say. I'm going to continue. If you need it, because the budget worksheet is in PDF format, if you need the sheet, before this meeting, and what I would do is I would drop a link in the in-call messages so that everyone can have access to that. So you can just duplicate it. But again, it's just a template. It's a framework for you to follow if you don't have any. So if you have your own, that's still fine. We also require audited financial statements. Now, again, keep in mind that we have two different types of people that would be applying for this grant. We have the individuals and we have the organizations. For the requirements for organizations are a bit on this level, but for individuals, because we understand that, okay, we do not have many of these documents and maybe getting them can be expensive. So for things like audited financial statements, you can replace this with your bank statement. And if you are an organization as well, and maybe getting your audited financial statement is impossible for you, this is something that we have come to realize, that maybe some of these things might be expensive for you to get because you have to get an accountant to prepare all of this for you. If you can do this, brilliant. It helps the PSB make a better decision if they can see all of that data. But if you cannot, then your bank statement works. If you don't have an official bank account or your corporate bank account, rather, you can use a personal account. But I would prefer that. I would advise rather that you use your corporate account. But if you don't have one, then it's fine. Then your annual report. Your annual report is supposed to detail all your activities. Now, one question that I also get is how how much does it have to cover? So we can say at least a year, at least a year of annual reports. You can say from the start of, you can say from the start of 20, just you can say from the start of 2022 to 20. Yeah, we're already in December, so yes, you can do that. But if you don't have your annual report, again, this is also fine. You can just go with your bank statement if you also don't have your audited financial statement. Like I said, when we launched the grant, and then we started seeing some of the NGOs that were taking some of these tests, we realized that some of them do not have these documentations that we are asking for. So the best thing for you to do is just get your LASRA ID. If you have certificate of incorporation, get that. Do your budget worksheets for audited financial statements and annual reports. If you cannot get these two, you feel free to use your bank statements, your account statements for your personal account statements. But be ready to defend it. That is what I can tell you. Be ready to defend it. Then your project proposal. This is very, very important. So I have a link to a template that I will be sharing with you guys as well. If you need that, you can also, if you have a business plan, your business plan also works. What the most important thing is that the PSP wants to see, as much as you are filling questions here, questions to help us get to know you better, to help the PSP understand your project, understand your background. It does not go into details about your application, not that much. So what would really, really sell your application is your project proposal. So you can look up templates online. You can also check out the one that I'm going to share with you. And if you have a business plan, fantastic. That also works. Now, one quick one before I continue. All of these documents, whenever you're uploading them, please ensure that they're in PDF because the system does not accept any other formats. So, like if you want to do your spreadsheets now, you have to ensure that it is in a PDF format. And this is to protect the integrity of the information that you are submitting. So that whatever it is that you write down, you can always come back and say, this is what I wrote, and nobody can edit your work. So please, let's keep that in mind. So that's why we're not accepting editable documents. Right. So when you click on continue to apply, this is where you can now you see all your questions here, so you can answer everything. Now, one more thing, we're already at the end of this. One thing that you should keep in mind is before this is the first stage. This is the first stage. When you click on next section, you have three different pages that you're going to have to fill before you complete your application. Now, we do not allow you, if I click on next section, we do not allow you to come back to this section. So you cannot come back here. So the best thing for you to do is ensure that when you fill in the name of your organization, I'm just going to demo something for you. When you fill in the name of your organization details here, just come back up, look at what you have done very well, review it before you submit it. One more thing, you can see that we have this icon here, this text here, saved. So we are saving your data for you. That means that because we understand that you might not be able to take this at a go, at once. You might not be able to deal with this at once. So you can see all the information that I selected here. I'm not going to click on next section. I'm just going to go back. I'm going to go back. So maybe you want to do other things. That's an error. Okay. So you can see that the status has changed to incomplete now because we already started it. So I'm going to click on this. and continue. You can see that all the details that I entered previously are still saved in the system. So you can always fill your information here and then come back and complete it whenever you can. But please remember that the deadline is the 7th of December. It was the 30th of November before, but we wanted to give everyone enough time to apply because we kept getting requests. But it's now the 7th of December and there will be no more extension. So you have to start and complete your application within that timeline. Great. So that's everything on the SDG portal. If you have any questions, I will take them now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lola Femi. That's been awesome. So there are one or two questions in the chat room. Aliu wanted to get it right that Aliu Suliat, she says, annual report, is it the bank statement? No, I would like you to please address that because I had tried to explain that the bank statement, as you said, might be used in place of the audited financial statement, but she needs clarification between that and the annual report. Thank you.
Okay. So your audited financial statement focuses primarily on your financial information. And the reason why, maybe understanding the reason why this is being requested will help you understand it better. It's just to see how are you dealing your activities right now, and that's why I said you have to be prepared to defend it. So it focuses solely on your financial. So if 30,000 entered your account, you have to say that this 30,000, this is what we were able to do with it. This is the number of people that we were able to reach with this 30,000. That kind of detail, that is really what your financial focuses on. The annual report also sort of includes the same thing, but it just goes a step further to also include your operations in the sense that, so if we're saying that this is what we spent, then we should be able to back it up and say that this is what we spent it on. So I would say annual report comprises of your financial information, your operational information, and your activities. But the audited financial statement just uh, focuses solely on your financial information. So, and that is something that you should at any time be able to back up and defend, especially when you are called in for an interview.
Thank you very much. So Lola Femi, we have 3 hands up. Can we just take them quickly? Inspirato Studio, your hand is up. Can you unmute and do ask your question? Inspirato? Well, Chigozie is asking that he has 2021 annual report. I believe that's okay because 2022 hasn't ended. Says, can we use that, Lola Femi?
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. You actually have 6 months after the end of a financial year within which to file your accounts. So Chigozie, that's just from me. Aliu Suliat, well, we'll try to put up the video on YouTube or so, and we'll let you have it. Okay. There are some other people who had their hands raised. Whoever has a hand raised, please, can you ask your question right away? Okoli Matthew says, okay. Okay. Olayemi Aileru.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, good afternoon.
Thank you for the well-presented presentation. We really enjoyed it. But I have this question. We run an NGO, and just last week somebody contacted us from the ministry to find out whether we are feeding children, which we filled a form. Is it in line with this or is something else? That's number one question. Then these grants, how do we get the link to? Thank you. I really understand everything you were saying, and we've been applying for grants. But how do we get the link to apply? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Sorry, Lola Femi, I will please ask that, you promised them a link. I think that was template, and then the URL to the Lagos State Volunteer Corps. Okay, so Lola has put the web address, lsvc.ng, lsvc.ng. So we have another question from Okoli who says, Lazra, are we using personal Lazra? Because he doesn't think an organization would have a Lazra. So can you please clarify?
Yes, yes. So what we're asking for is mainly anyone in management. You have to be in management. So if you're the CEO of the company, or you're in management in any other capacity, then you should have your LASRA identity.
Okay, thank you very much. That is clear. Inspirato, have you asked your question? We had some questions. Some hands were up. I can't seem to see the queue anymore. Please, if you have any other question, we would like you to ask right away, as we are in the finishing, the dying moments of this presentation. A link has been dropped
Okay.
very kindly
I can
by
see some
Lola.
questions.
Yeah. Have you seen any other
I can see some
question?
questions. Yeah, in the in-call messages. So someone is asking, please, how likely is someone that uses their personal bank statement to get approved? Well, I cannot answer that question for you. Only the PSP can answer that question. They do have criterias or selection criterias that they are looking at. So when we display, before you start to apply for your grants, that list that we display is, that is one of the top things that they will be looking out for. But of course, not everyone can meet 100% of these requirements. So where your requirements or your the things that you have, your certifications, what they fail to meet up with, I would say that it's more of the impacts that your project would make. That is where that comes in. So being able to properly, effectively communicate the value of your project to the PSP would also have a huge impact on whether or not it is selected, aside from your requirements. So I hope that answers your question, Aliu. Yes.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it
So
does.
I can
So
see another question.
please go ahead.
Okay, yes. So that says, Ngozi, would you have to be part of LSBC to qualify? Yes, you do. You have to create an account on LS. If you do not create an account on LSBC, you cannot apply. So I don't know if this question that you're asking means that you have to volunteer on LSBC. No, you do not have to volunteer. The only thing that we need you to do is go to LSBC and create your account. So I'm going to share another link with you. The first one I shared was lsvc.com. This one I'm going to share is grants.lsbc.ng rather. So when you go to grants.lsbc.ng, that is your login page to your grant application. And then on that login page, you would see create an account on LSBC. So if you don't have an account, you can just click on that and go create an account. When you get into your dashboard, you would see a banner that would redirect you right back to your SDG portal so that you can log in and apply for your application. But that is all you have to do. If you decide to volunteer for projects there, it does not impact your application in any way. Okay.
All right.
Is a business
Wow.
plan mandatory for the application? Yes, it's mandatory. So like I mentioned before, the questions that we are asking you when you take your application, the questions we're asking you to fill is more of is to help us get a feel to understand who you are, to build a profile for you. But your profile is not your project. So we're still going to ask you to upload a detailed document that talks about your project from start to finish. So when the PSP is done reviewing your profile, the next thing they would now be moving to is to check out your project and to see whether or not it aligns with the SDG goals. I would just like to quickly mention something here that I wanted to before we started. I don't know how many of us here are familiar with the SDGs, but pick a primary goal. There are 17 goals in the SDGs. So you want to pick a primary goal and ensure that your project is supporting one goal. Now, definitely in the SDGs, they overlap. So sometimes you may be supporting inequality, or you may be driving I'm not sure what number that is. Maybe driving the goal that has to do with inequality, but then that sort of now touches unemployment, right? Because if you're maybe creating opportunities for maybe, let's say, creating opportunities for widows, and then these opportunities that you're creating for them is resulting in job opportunities for them, then that means that your SDG is overlapping with another SDG. So there's a point in your application where we're going to ask you, what SDG does your application address? So pick one unique SDG that you know that this is what I am supporting and this is what this project is about. And then the other one, because we'll now ask you, what secondary SDGs is it addressing? So it may be overlapping with some other SDGs. You can now select those ones. But that's very, very important. I cannot stress the importance, because before we even look at your profile, before we look at your the DSP looks at your project, they're going to be looking at what your SDG is, and then forwarding it to the most appropriate individuals to review your applications. So please keep that in mind when you're applying for your grant.
All right.
Okay.
I think we've even overshot our time. So we'll take Olayemi Aileru. You still have a hand up. Is that an error?
Yes, please.
Okay, please,
Yes,
can you
yes,
make it
yes, not
brief?
error.
Brief, please.
Yes, kindly help us to send a kind of mail for us to have necessary information. Thank you.
Well, she has given you the web address.
The link.
Yes, she's given you the
Yes.
web address. The call for application has a whole lot of information. Simply Exponential
Okay.
Limited will try its best to also
Okay.
make available to you whatever we can.
Okay.
Final
Thank
question.
you.
Thank you. Ifoma Aze says, is there a
Can I just
template?
speak to that?
Okay.
I'd like to say something else before we move on. So we have a community that you can join. It's a support community, so that you can get your questions if you're experiencing technical issues, or if you don't understand um, anything regarding your application. Someone from the organization can support you through that process. So, Paula, would you like me to share that link here? 'Cause I don't
Um,
know how you would prefer ideal.
you can send the link to us. You
So you
can
can
also
send it
share
to
it
email.
here.
Okay.
You can also share it here, no problem.
Okay.
So somebody has asked, I think Joan Aga, thank you very much for your comment. You've said thank you so much for this informative presentation. Do you carry out this type of training from time to time? Because I would love to be participating to be well grounded on grant writing. The answer is yes. We do carry out this. The last one I did was for the LSCTF loan, because wherever I'm able to succeed, I just want others to come along with me. And so we do that often. So I'll send the link to our Harmony Clinic. We have a group, we have a community. We particularly deal with women who want to access finance through various means. Grants is just one way. Insurance, loans, there are other ways of accessing grants. All right. So I think we really need to wind up now. But Ifoma Aze, she's had a hand up. That would be the last question. Please, let's have you, Ifoma. Ifoma Aze, please ask your question. Okay, if she's unable to ask her question, Abimbola Osage, can you ask your own question? Abimbola Osage.
And thank you, ma'am,
I'm sorry, it's cracking.
to request for the
Please, can you put your question? Abimbola, your line is cracking. Put your question in the chat room. If we have the time, we will
Okay, I know
answer
what she's
it.
asking for.
Oh,
I know
okay.
what she's
So
asking
can you
for.
please go ahead?
So no, I'm just going to share it. So Abimbola, I have shared the link again. So you can just, send a message, let me know that you have access to it.
All right. So I'm very happy that virtually all the questions have been answered. We thought we would do an hour. We thank you so much for staying with us for so long. I would like to thank Lola Femi particularly for sparing time from her busy schedule to do this for us. And we do hope that if we get any other questions by email, from the registrants of this meeting, you'll be able to help us as well. Thank you very much, everyone. So can we call it a day? Can we call it a day? Can we use our videos so that we can take a picture, please? And then we call it a day. All right. Can we use our video? So I'll be doing a countdown. Lola Femi, I can see your pretty face. So we're counting down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. It's nice to have you all. Enjoy the rest of your day and goodbye. Thank you.